So, folks, it's come down to this. The top 50 best TV pilots out there. It's pretty surreal to think that for the past month I've been putting out video after video talking about how great, or in some cases not so great, these pilots are. And within the next 30 minutes or so, it's about to be over. But I surely do hope that for some of you, this is a starting ground to discover that next incredible series. Everything we have left, I'd consider must-watch level of quality. Some of the greatest pieces of art are included in this tier, let me tell you. Savoring this moment, this is what I live for. Because as much fun as it can be at times poking fun at the bad in the TV world, the bulk of my channel has always been about encouraging y'all to go out and find some great stuff to experience. And with these 50 episodes, you can't go wrong. Enough with that pretentious ass bullshit. These 50 episodes rock fucking harder than Kiss did in 77. I want this last part to be loose and fun, you know? Throw a couple of NSFW jokes in there to make this one to remember. These are all really stellar, but I ain't going to overanalyze every frame of this to find the hidden message and why the booth is red on How I Met Your Mother or something. That's for your annoying-ass English teacher who's always pregnant for some reason to do. Let's have some fun and take a look at the last 50 pilots we have left, beginning with number 50, Abbott Elementary. Bold statement time. Abbott Elementary is going to go down as the greatest show from the 2020s and one of, if not, the best sitcom of all time. Like, no exaggeration at all. This has the potential to one-up Seinfeld, Parks and Rec, I Love Lucy, Modern Family, even How I Met Your Mother, potentially? I mean, can you think of the last time a show just blew up out of nowhere with this sort of energy and organic traction without feeling gimmicky or forced onto you like every other hit during the COVID era of TV? From the first episode, I knew that this was going to be something special, especially that it was immensely difficult to pick a favorite character, as everyone does a fantastic job here, though Melissa has the funniest line of the episode that reminds you of a certain crime classic, if you know what I mean. I am super proud in being able to predict the giant success of this one that it's having on ABC, BuzzFeed, the comedy genre, and every other thing this show has bled out to raise up as a serious contender in the entertainment industry. And if for whatever reason you still haven't given the 22 minutes to enjoy it, well, what the hell are you doing watching my dumbass? Go out and see Abbott Elementary already. Number 49, Regular Show. I think that score says it all, fellas. Number 48, 13 Reasons Why. So here's my experience with this show. I heard from everybody around me that this was a must-watch when Season 1 came out back in 2017. Season 2 comes along with most people enjoying it, but not as much as they did the first one. By the time Season 3 hit, however, the conversation had shifted to how bad the show had become, and by Season 4, well, I didn't even know it had come out because I didn't hear a single person mention it. And I figured most people had checked out of the show by then, as well as the fact that the finale aired deep in the heart of quarantine with everyone being as scared and upset and unsettled as they were. I think it's safe to say that a show about suicide was the last thing people wanted to see at the time. So going into it for myself, I really didn't know what to expect with this one, and from my experiences actually watching the show, I can pretty much single-handedly say that first season, I am in agreement with everyone that it is a must-watch, this pilot episode included, as evident by its rank here. And after that, I watched a few episodes into Season 2 before deciding to jump ship, but, I'm not going to take that into consideration here because that first episode truly is one of my personal favorites, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for a great teen drama. Number 47, Mike and Molly. Maybe it'd be easy to write this one off, but the meet cute is just so damn good that I can't leave it out of the top 50. Number 46, The Twilight Zone. Where is everybody? More like, why isn't everybody talking about how great this episode is? The Twilight Zone might not be the first anthology series out there, and arguably might not be the best in its genre. I mean, Black Mirror is really fucking good, everybody. But this is definitely the show that left the biggest mark on pop culture, and from the start, it's very easy to tell why. Number 45, 24. While I might prefer Designated Survivor a little more as a whole, 24's action-packed pilot will have you buzzing for more immediately after it's over. Number 44, Blue Bloods. I'd feel safer with Donnie Wahlberg's character roaming the streets than the actual police force we have in the real world. And this guy shoves a motherfucker's head into a toilet and gives a full-on 1998 branded swirly whirly to get info on the bad guy. Number 43, Axe Cop. I'd also feel safer with a cartoon cop roaming the streets than the police force we have in the real world. And this guy does the unthinkable, immoral, inexcusable act of using the word soda instead of pop. Ugh, just gives me the chills thinking about it. Number 42, Everybody Hates Chris. Tyler James Williams is probably the closest we'll ever get to seeing the second coming of Jesus. And you know why that checks out? Because Jesus wasn't fucking white. Number 41, Word Girl. Matt, without question, has one of the sharpest minds when it comes to animated shows and recommending the best of the best to check out. And Word Girl landing in his top 20 best cartoons list shouldn't be much of a surprise to anybody, as it fucking rules. Say what you will about this episode being in the 9s on IMDb, but with a cast as good as this one with folks like H. Jon Benjamin, Patton Oswalt, and Tom fucking Kenny at the helm, a 9.2 is conservative, to say the least. Number 40, Two Broke Girls. I don't even want to hear it. This is my list, and you know what? I'm tired of pretending like Two Broke Girls isn't one of the best shows on TV, because it absolutely is. Motherfuckers still think that this is worse than Henry fucking Danger, and that's when you realize society's gone way too deep in the rabbit hole. Burn it to the fucking ground, everybody. Number 39, Clone High. I know damn well the concept was birthed out of a heavy smoke sesh like Pineapple Express style. I probably could imagine it right now. It was probably something like, hey man, you know, if what if we had this idea for a show where Gandhi and Honest Abe and Cleopatra all went to the same high school together. What do you think that'd be like? I don't know, man, but how they'd be there. I don't know. But maybe there's like this professor guy that like takes DNA from them or something and then uses it to clone new versions of them, like Powerpuff Girls style. And then he'd also be the school's principal. Whoa, far out, man. Yeah, it'd probably go something like that. Number 38, The Wonder Years, 1998. Somehow, this makes the remake from last year even worse than that already is. Because by comparison, this series has a near perfect balance of dramatic tension and comedic relief, all building up to one of my favorite endings for any pilot episode I saw for this project. Fred Savage is a legend in nearly every way, and even as a 12-year-old, he was showing off his talents way more than most back then or now can do. Number 37, Dexter. Michael C. Hall's sinister performance here is top-tier acting only a few select gentlemen can match in the history of TV. And the most wild part is I don't even think this is his best show. Oh, a spoiler alert, I guess. Number 36, The Good Doctor. This is one of only 5 medical shows in the entire world that I think is worth preserving. And this pilot is a major reason why. This one hits close to home for me because I've seen firsthand the discrimination of people with disabilities and autism get shit on and called horrible names for literally no reason whatsoever, even when they're more than capable of performing tasks just as good, if not better, sometimes, than anybody else, which is what Sean experiences directly in this episode. I try not to get too serious on this channel, but I have many close friends who have mental conditions like this that never get the proper respect from most people. So watching vicariously through Dr. Murphy's case here and seeing him overcome the prejudice is so goddamn gratifying, you just want to celebrate as soon as this episode's over. Freddie Highmore is fantastic here, and his monologue towards the end of the episode is a real tearjerker if I have ever seen one. Trust me when I say if hospital dramas aren't your cup of tea, and believe me, I've been there so many times. This is essential viewing for any and all TV fans who need a pick-me-up / a happy ending to brighten their own morale. Number 35, Queens. Whew. Okay, well, this one is really, really frustrating. Because this episode is really amazing and kept me engaged and had me hooked all the way through. In fact, on its own merits, this episode should probably land in my top 10, just for how much fun I had with it, and on a personal level, how much I enjoyed watching the story play out amongst these 4 women who all pull off the whole sisterhood act very well. So you're probably asking, why is it so much further down on this list then? Well, any good pilot should not only work on its own merits, but should also make you want to continue watching more of the series, right? Well, Queens fails miserably in that department, as I have absolutely zero desire to continue with this one. A prime example of a show from this project that should have been way better as a movie. Queens tells the story of 4 women dubbed the Nasty Bitches. God, I feel incredibly white saying that aloud. Who back in 1990s had a huge smash hit rap record. Fast forward 20 plus years later, and they're all working different jobs and living as everyday normal people living everyday normal lives. This is until they hear their hit song Nasty Girl on the radio being covered by an up-and-comer who also just so happens to be managed by their former manager. Said manager invites all the ladies out to fly to LA to reconnect and eventually decide they want to put their petty beefs aside and get the group back together. The up-and-comer, whose name is Lil Muffin, by the way, which, side note, is one of the dumbest rap names I've ever heard, and I watch Game Shakers for y'all, so that should say something. She's supposed to be modeled after, like, Doja Cat or something, I guess, where she's kind of, like, memeable, you know, but anyways, Lil Muffin has a serious near-death experience after almost overdosing and decides that she can't perform at the BET Awards, which is what the entire group has been training for the whole time. Although management is pissed at this, the 4 ladies stick up for their new friend and go out and perform in her name as a way to say thank you for helping them reconnect and form the group back together. They perform Nasty Girl and the audience loves it, and if this was a movie, this would be the ending scene, the big performance, the big show the whole story has been leading up to. But seeing as though this is a TV show, they have to stretch this one out, and so the ending alludes to this idea of the Nasty Bitches and Lil Muffin teaming up to go on tour and take over the rap world once again. And I really like that ending for a movie. It's flexible in a way that if said movie was hypothetically big enough and people wanted a sequel, that could be expanded on in a later format. But if not, then it could remain semi-ambiguous, leaving it up to the imagination of the viewer, which is how I usually like movie endings. It really makes sense for this one. But from what I understand, this series goes way downhill and turns very cheesy very quickly. And you can see this reflective in the scores, as this pilot has one of the top scores on IMDb for the whole show. So a majority of episodes later, ranking in the mid-5 range is really not ideal and really doesn't encapsulate the feeling of this first episode, you know? Truly a swift fall from grace if I've ever seen one. So while this is one of my favorite episodes of the project, I just feel like the show botched its opportunity to leave a mark the way that it was hoping to, which is why it lands lower than I may prefer to have it be. Number 34, Naomi. Casey Walfall absolutely has to be up there with one of the best casting decisions of any role, as her portrayal here as the title character is instantly palpable and endearing. The inclusion of Superman doesn't hurt either, giving comic book fans exactly what they came for, with the CW's signature blend of high-octane action and spunky, charismatic leads. And even though she didn't appear in this episode, I've heard through the grapevine that Stephanie March plays the recurring character of Akira, which really intrigues me and makes me really want to continue with this one, as you guys know my love for SVU. Number 33, iCarly. Pure, unadulterated nostalgia with this one. And yeah, I'm not above that. Putting a show from my childhood people love to hate over a more objective, mature show like Dexter or Blue Bloods, for example. Because iCarly was, for me and for many others, the opening to this crazy world that was the internet as it existed in 2007. And looking back during the whole lol so random era will forever and always put a big fat grin on my face compared to the doom-scrolling hellscape we live in today. Holy fuck, a humpback whale, oh wait, I meant to say a white woman, had the nerve to call the cops on an 8-year-old black kid. Yeah, that's just normalized nowadays. In fact, I'd say a humpback whale is probably smarter than 99% of all white women out there. Let's be clear about that. Number 32, Victorious. Yeah, I put this one above iCarly. Sue me. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but Victoria Justice could sing her ass off, man. And I don't know if she was ever better than her co-stars, but based on that first opening scene, you would certainly have a good amount of evidence supporting that theory. Hey, so when I was recording earlier, I forgot to do the voiceover for this next one. So here's that. Number 31, WandaVision. Truly a love letter to all sitcom fans out there. WandaVision has some old school styles and some new school styles come together with some surprising guests along the way to make for one very entertaining comedy drama. Number 30, Bob's Burgers. So I know I just did the whole autistic people can do anything anybody else can do too argument when I was talking about The Good Doctor. So when I say the scene in this episode when they're teasing Tina, calling her Rain Man and autistic is one of my favorites for the whole series, I don't mean to be problematic, but sometimes it's good to just laugh at yourself, you know? Take it from me, an Asian who didn't possess any of the quote-unquote good stereotypes and ended up with eyes so slanted you could roll a fucking monster truck down it. Number 29, Cheers. Shelley Long plays Dee Dee on Modern Family, and I didn't even realize that until I saw this episode and I did research for this video. And I'm very embarrassed that I didn't already know that, because not only is Cheers great, but Modern Family's great, and Shelley Long is great on both shows, especially in contrast to Ted Danson here, who's just so likable as Sam, and the great supporting cast of characters like Coach and Norm as well. Cheers has cemented its legacy in TV history, and it's surprising that it didn't start out that way because it was ranked really low during its first season, which is really shocking because this pilot is simply excellent. Number 28, Clarence. So from what I've been led to believe, nobody enjoys Clarence. Not just in comparison to other Cartoon Network shows, but in general. With the exception of Matt, that is, who proudly displays it on his top 20 list. And if that is the case, I have one small, probably benign question to ask you folks. I mean, what the fuck is wrong in y'all's heads? Because Clarence is not only brilliant with amazing slice of life storytelling, the way slice of life storytelling is meant to be seen, but also has creative characters to play off of Clarence's quirks, and writing indicative of the time when we were all kids just being silly with our best buds. Number 27, Freaks and Geeks. Hell yeah, man. Freaks and Geeks is awesome. What do you want me to say about this show? The endless bucket of names to draw from that went on to have massive careers, many of which on TV, is just one of the many reasons Freaks and Geeks has earned its legacy as one of TV's all-time greats. Number 26, Mad Men. I wonder how Don Draper himself would have advertised this show, you know? How fucking meta that'd be. Mad Men. It isn't your dad's drama. Number 25, Total Drama. A top 3 Cartoon Network show of all time. I loved it back then just as much as I do now. The characters are of course the massive draw with this one, as they all fill a specific niche or stereotype to some degree, such as the goth chick, Gwen, pretty boy, Justin, emo guy, Duncan, sassy black chick, Lashana, airhead blonde, Lindsay, surfer girl, Bridget, cynic, Noah, and Chris, the host with the most, doing his best Jeff Probst impression. Needless to say, the series was bound to be a hit, coming from Fresh TV, the same studio who brought you 16 and would later produce Stoked and My Babysitter's Vampire. And with that kind of track record, it's easy to see why Total Drama took off the way it did. Number 24, The Americans. Yet another show with an absolutely brilliant premise. The Americans features Kerry Russell and Matthew Rhys as two Russian operatives working for the KGB who infiltrate the US by posing as a typical American family with their two kids in the suburbs of DC. The show does have its moments of action, sure, but it's absolutely a full-blown period piece, loud and proud, taking place in the 1980s during the Cold War. A slow burner masterpiece, The Americans is truly one of the most overlooked shows of the golden age of TV and deserves so much more recognition as one of FX's best shows out there. Number 23, Batman the Animated Series. Is it the all-time best animated show, like some, such as the iconic Sean Chandler, believes? Maybe not, but holy hell does it come close to. The animation itself, done by the talented folks over at Warner Bros. Animation Studios, is breathtaking, with a classic noir style to complement the moody, dark tone of the show. Batman is fun as always to watch take on the bad guys who reign over Gotham City, and the action scenes are simply phenomenal. Even those of you watching who aren't big on superhero content like myself, please give this one a shot, because it's been rewarded with all sorts of accolades for a very good reason. Number 22, Harold and the Purple Crayon. Give me 3 joints, a box of Cheez-Its, and a copy of Harold and the Purple Crayon on DVD, and leave me the fuck alone, because that is an experience nobody would be able to top. Number 21, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Sarah Michelle Gellar, I mean, come on, man. How can you watch this and not fall in love with her ass-kicking, badass, smart-talking Buffy Summers? And hey, Lily's here too, and you guys know that gets a thumbs up from me. Number 20, Jane the Virgin. Lots of moving parts to this one. Jane the Virgin is a soap opera / telenovela at its core, but has a lot more going on behind the layers once they're all revealed. Michael and Jane feel super genuine here, and the villains, while silly and a little over the top, have great charisma. It's easy to get sucked into their story for sure. Hey, if anything else, you can always trust a balding, fat guy who runs a website called the Boob Tube Dude, who placed this show in his top 3 each year it was on for. But let's be real, he probably just watched for the grilled cheese sandwiches. Number 19, Ghosts. I can't take anyone who dislikes remakes seriously anymore. I mean, I felt that way beforehand, but especially after watching Ghosts, a near word-for-word, shot-for-shot remake of the original from the BBC that just also happens to be everyone's favorite sitcom of the year due to its brilliant premise, innovative characters, and great comedic timing from all of its many diverse cast members. Geez, Fox must be fucking furious right now, seeing this thing climb up the ratings ladder and snag a couple of Critics' Choice Awards nominations, while they're trying to figure out how to break it to Disney that Call Me Kat and Welcome to Flatch are going upstate for a little while. Wink wink. Number 18, 6 Feet Under. Shout out Alan Ball, first and foremost, for one of TV's most intriguing concepts ever made. The patriarch of a family dies in a car crash, and now his entire family has to face the concept of death full on. The catch, however, is that the family runs a funeral home, seeing death as a business first before anything else. What really puts this one over the edge, though, has to be the incredible array of performances on display here. From Peter Krause to Michael C. Hall to Francis Conroy, the talent put together here is even more than the sum of its parts. All going on to become TV legends in their own right, the whole cast is exceptional. except for Claire, who definitely was the first to flame out soon after the show's run. But any way you slice it, HBO knocked this one out of the park with a dark comedy you really have to see to believe. Number 17, American Crime. Ridley Scott is one of, if not the best director of all time, depending on who's asked, and his work here on American Crime is arguably the best of his whole career. I remember watching this one as a kid and feeling that this was the most mature and deeply insightful show I had seen at the time, and revisiting it for this project, I can confidently say it holds up brilliantly with some of television's best ever storytelling and top-tier acting from its extensive cast list. Number 16, The Good Place. God damn, is there anything Ted Danson can't do? Oh, right. Oh, yeah. We don't need to talk about that one. But in the grand scheme of things, The Good Place stands tall as one of the most original and inventive comedies of the last 10 years, with Michael Shore's amazing script as the centerpiece of this brilliant show. Number 15, Orange is the New Black. My parents always raved about this one while it was airing, and I finally understand why, as it's not only hilarious, much more than most other dramas out there, but the cast made up of huge names like Laura Prepon, Jason Biggs, and Natasha Lyonne give some excellent performances here that can't be matched. Number 14, The Sopranos. Tony goddamn Soprano is so good here, man. Like, what the hell? It should be illegal to be this good on a show, I swear to God. Number 13, 21 Jump Street. To quote the great Barnacle Stinson, this show is legend, and I hope you're not lactose intolerant because the second half of that word is dairy. Legendary. And for 21 Jump Street specifically, it's also mega cheesy. Like super cheesy, like dripping with cheese. Like a greasy, messy, sopping, oily, cheesy cheeseburger you'd get at Five Guys. But you know what? Sometimes that's exactly what you need. And 21 Jump Street's pilot delivers on that like a Five Guys cheeseburger does when you're just a little hungover. Number 12, Stranger Things. Holy shit. What an experience. The atmosphere had me on edge the whole time. The special effects look stellar here, and I can see the world building here being just absolutely spectacular going forward. Pout all you want, this ranking at number 9 on the top 100 TV show list, but dude, based on what I've seen, number 9 might be too low. Number 11, SpongeBob. Reef Blower is one of the show's best segments, and you have a single-digit IQ if you disagree. Number 10, Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Look, man, I'm cool with the whole free speech thing. You know, like it's important and all, but sometimes you just gotta pull it back a little, you know? Have some self-control. And by that, I mean if you don't put this in your top 10, like myself, Mike, and millions of others, then you obviously just do not have a brain. Number 9, Fargo. Alright, so I'm going to dedicate this one to my buddy Mike over at Mike's Talks and Thoughts, who's been a real trooper and a real supporter of this project since day one. I love you, man, because, dude, this thing was like scientifically formulated just for you, my guy. Like, I'm watching it and it's just checking every single box for Mike. It's like anti-hero, check. Crime drama, check. Great action, check. Tons of names that he fucking loves. Like every single actor from every show he loves. It just check. They just wrap this one up and put it under the tree for you, Mike. I swear to God. On a technical level, Fargo is the best pilot of this entire project. That 9.3 that it boasts on IMDb is the single highest score that any of these episodes received, and it means something, believe me. Because there isn't a single element here not done with true craftsmanship. Everybody, you can tell, is putting 100% of their heart into this one, from the director to the writer, cinematographer, and the music director. They were all wonderful here. But it's the performances from many familiar faces here, like Martin Freeman, Colin Hanks, Keith Carradine, Kate Walsh, Bob Odenkirk, and especially Bad Santa himself, Billy Bob Thornton, that blew me away from the first watch. The anti-hero storylines are front and center, but compared to some more underwhelming shows with similar blueprints, Fargo feels very controlled and takes its time before throwing you into the deep end. The slow burn here is really one that you'll want to savor, and I promise you if action/crime dramas are your go-to, Fargo will no doubt be your new favorite after one watch. Number 8, Law & Order Special Victims Unit. To all the Dick Wolf naysayers out there, check this one out and tell me he isn't one of the funniest, wittiest, inventive TV writers out there. Of course, the praise for this one extends far beyond that of Wolf's legendary script, but the chemistry here between Olivia and Elliot is off the charts, as two of the best characters to ever be put on screen together. So good that millions of fans all over the world are still raving about them 2 decades later. The legacy characters, John Munch and Captain Cragen from Homicide: Life on the Street and the original Law & Order respectively, are an absolute blast to see here, leading a new batch of detectives in the Big Apple. And last but not least, there's Dean Winter's performance as the lovable Brian Cassidy, a character that delivers plenty of laughs to keep comedy fans like myself invested in a genre they might not normally gravitate towards. Whether you're a newbie to the massive Law & Order franchise or a seasoned veteran who's binged every show multiple times, Payback is a crowd pleaser guaranteed to keep you craving more. Number 7, The Walking Dead. The heart-pounding intensity of this very first scene immediately gets you invested in the story, and it only continues to grow from there, leading to some of the most truly terrifying moments that will have you leaping out of your chair and clenching for dear life, watching Rick navigate the horrifying world he's woken up in. Andrew Lincoln has so much range here in the first hour, it's hard to describe just how special his display of emotion sincerely is. This is one of the only TV episodes, to my knowledge, to have a dedicated Rotten Tomatoes page for itself, let alone the fact that the rating is a perfect 100%, a number that somehow still feels too low for what an accomplishment Days Gone By truly is. Number 6, Prison Break. This is Mike's favorite TV pilot of all time, and after watching it for myself, oh my goodness, can I see why that is now. Terrific acting, excellent directing, incredible story arcs, and some very well done fight scenes that add just the right amount of kick, but don't overwhelm or distract from the larger story at hand. Oh, and when Michael takes his shirt off to reveal his plan to his brother, instant fucking goosebumps. Number 5, Big Sky. Some of y'all might be pissed to hear this, but Big Sky is my favorite pilot of any drama show out there. More than Breaking Bad, more than The Sopranos, more than Prison Break, or even SVU, my all-time favorite TV drama. So why this humble little mystery show from ABC that came out during the pandemic, how could this beat out all those classics? Watch through to the last 2 minutes and tell me that this doesn't have one of the most riveting, best cliffhangers / plot twists ever to be put on screen. Number 4, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. After a long, grueling thought, I think I've concluded that this is my favorite episode of the entire series. A hard sell for some, considering episodes like Beach House, The Box, and any number of the Halloween heists are all incredibly funny as well, but damn, the pilot got it right on every level. The characters, the introductions, the first case being engaging and surprisingly deep for a comedy, and above all else, a true sense of passion from the cast. I also have a bit of nostalgia for this one, as I remember watching this one live when it first premiered and cracking up at every single punchline, absolutely delivering on the anticipation I had for this show, seeing as Andy Samberg is a massive name from SNL, a show many of you guys know is a top 10 favorite of mine of all time. Without a doubt, Michael Schur delivered another smash hit with this one, and I highly, highly recommend it to all comedy fans out there. Number 3, How I Met Your Mother. Yeah. I know it's predictable. Oh, what a surprise that my favorite show ever is in the top 3, but you know what? I'm not alone in this one. Him Yam's pilot has been ranked as one of the best for many, many years now, and for very good reason. And while I clearly have a bias towards this one, millions of others will back it up as one of the most creative and innovative stories in all of TV. And the way Ted introduces the rest of the gang here is simply iconic, with the first lines of every character embedded deep into the minds of sitcom fans all over the world. Him Yam might not be a perfect show, not by a long shot, and I'm the first person to admit that, trust me. But in my humble opinion, this pilot is as close to a perfect 10 out of 10 as they get. And somehow it's not even number 1 on this list. Goddamn, there is a fuck ton of amazing TV out there, guys. Number 2, Modern Family. Everything I just talked about with How I Met Your Mother can be copied onto this one as well. Yes, it's my second favorite show out there. Yes, I have a bias with this one. And you know what? It's a little cheesy in places, but Modern Family has been a fan favorite for over a decade, and it started its insane run with one of TV's most glorious opening episodes, as wholesome as it is laugh out loud funny. Modern Family's pilot will have you laughing till it hurts, while reminding you just why family is so important. Also, fun fact about this, Ed O'Neill, who plays Jay, originally passed on the show because he didn't want to do another half-hour sitcom. He had done that bit before with Married with Children. But the script was so damn good, he agreed to it after one read-through, which also led Eric Stonestreet, who plays Cam on the show, to say yes because he trusted Ed O'Neill's instincts because he looked up to him as a legacy actor. And based on the outcome, I think they both made the right call. And finally, after months and months and months of dedication to this project and months of research and trying to put this list together, the number 1 greatest TV pilot is, drumroll please, Third Rock from the Sun. Surprised? I mean, I certainly didn't see this one coming either. When I started this project a year and a half ago, I didn't expect this little sitcom to grab the number 1 spot, but after 3 exceptional viewings of Brains and Eggs, I can say with full honesty, this is my favorite TV pilot. Not a single minute is wasted here, and the pacing is excellent, making 21 minutes feel like half, as you're laughing so hard you forget about the runtime and focus all in on the fantastic humor. Everyone in this cast, from John Lithgow to Joseph Gordon-Levitt to Jane freaking Curtin, one of the OG SNL players back 20 years prior to this show. Even after all that time, she still hasn't skipped a beat. And all of that before the mention of creators Terry and Bonnie Turner, who were also responsible for another 90s classic you may know called That 70s Show? Yeah, folks, these guys were the real deal, and their unapologetic talent proves it every single time. I've known for basically forever that comedy is my favorite form of TV, and while there might be some shows on this list that I'll admit are objectively better and more technically impressive than this one is, Third Rock from the Sun encompasses everything I look for when I want to have a good time and dive into another world as escapism from mine. And if this episode can do that for me time and time again without feeling stale or repetitive, then there isn't a single doubt in my mind that Third Rock from the Sun has the greatest television pilot of all time.